Alright, fellow hunters, time for the second episode of Review of the Day, which is Playthings. A delivery truck pulls up to the Pierpoint Inn. A single mother named Susan Thompson meets with the delivery man who came to pick up the items that are being sold. She's closing down the inn due to low investments and short income, thus giving her the decision of selling the inn. Her daughter, Tyler, was disappointed and consults with her sister named Maggie Thompson. She goes to her room and over to a big dollhouse. Her entire room has dolls in it. She puts one of the dolls into a chair and then goes on to put more of them into their beds, saying goodnight to them as she does. Then she goes back and sees that the chair is now empty. She looks around the house and finds the doll lying at the bottom of the stairs with its head twisted around. She hears a scream outside her room. Her mother's on the phone, talking to the police urgently. The packing man is next to her on the floor at the bottom of the stairs. He's dead, his head twisted around. There was a doll lying next to him. Her mother tells her not to look, but she stays anyway. Oof. In Peoria, Illinois, there are missing posters of Ava Wilson on the walls of the motel. Sam and Dean have been talking to their contacts to give them updates and have them scout for Ava. They even searched through federal, state, and local information regarding the whereabouts of Ava, but they ended up with nothing. While they are still searching, Sam notifies Dean from Ellen saying that Pierpoint Inn have been recently reported deaths with a woman drowning a bathtub and a delivery man with his head twisted. Dean reminisces about how a demon got his hands on Ava. Sam assures them that they will save her and the folks in the hotel. In Cornwall, Connecticut, Sam and Dean arrive at the Pierpoint Inn Hotel, much to Dean's astonishment of its luxurious features despite being an old building. He claims to be old school kind of a haunted place. Sam notices a pattern on a plant vase called a quinsux, however that's pronounced, a type of spot feature used in hoodoo techniques and practices. The brothers enter the premises and meet Susan, who confused them as a couple, even though they clear it up the misunderstanding as brothers. There, the brothers meet Sherwin, an elderly bellman for the inn, and Susan's daughters, Tyler and Maggie. While Sherwin is guiding them to their rooms, he gives her brothers a brief history of the place where there used to be housing for some of the world's famous people, such as previous vice presidents during its prime. Susan's closing up the inn due to the declining number of guests visiting. Once the brothers settle in, Sam goes over the names of the victims who died in the inn, all of which are related to the closure of the hotel. They narrow their suspicions as being Sherwin's, as he claimed to be the one who grew up in the inn. They investigate the hotel further and discover more quinsux in the furniture. They see Susan and notice a set of antique dolls, and one of them happens to have its head twisted. Tyler walks right in, claiming that she found it just like that, and warned that her grandmother, Rose Thompson, would get mad if she found that her dolls were broken. Susan revealed that her mother was sick and refuses to take visitors. The brothers come to conclude that Rose might be a witch doctor who refuses to have her place sold. Meanwhile, Susan's checking up with the realtor who has come from the company that bought the hotel, and she asks him what kind of renovations they're planning. He replies that they're going to demolish the hotel. Tyler's playing with her dolls and tea set. There's dolls sitting on a bed in exactly the same position as the actual man from the sales company in his own room. A door behind the doll starts to open, and at the same time, the same thing's happening with the man. Tyler turns around, looks at the dollhouse, and sees that the doll is now hanging from its neck. The same thing has happened to the salesman. He is hanging from the fan in his room. Dean and Sam noticed police and ambulance carrying away the body of the realtor. While Dean went down to check on Susan, Sam was drinking himself to tremendous sorrows. Dean caught and puts Sam to sleep while he goes down to the hotel's bar area where he meets with Sherwin. The bellman tells Dean the story about the Pierpoint Inn being the only home to Rose. He also told Dean about Rose's nanny, Marie, who noticed the same symbol as the one on the furnitures. The next morning, Sam suffers from a hangover while Dean informs him Rose is nanny wearing a necklace with the same quinsux, a symbol on the furnitures. The brothers decide to investigate Rose. They finally meet the elderly Rose, only to discover that she is in a wheelchair and is unable to make a response to the brothers, making them realize that she had a stroke. Susan walks right in and threatens them to leave the hotel or she will call the authorities. Reluctantly, the brothers are forced to check out. Susan tells her daughter to start packing, though Tyler refuses to do so, saying that Maggie doesn't want them to leave. However, unaware of Susan, Maggie's been with Tyler the entire time, and her mother didn't see her. Susan's carrying boxes to start packing more items while Tyler is playing up in the playroom until she notices that the swing on the tiny swing set starts swinging. Outside, Susan sees the swings swinging by themselves and the seesaw starts moving as well. More of the playground equipment starts moving, and as Susan backs up, she notices the car behind her start moving. She tries to run, and just as the car is about to hit her, Sam jumps up from his side and knocks her aside. The brothers explained that the strange events had been occurring over the past few months, as was the result of a ghost. Susan tells the brothers that her mother had a stroke about a month ago. The brothers theorize that Rose put the symbols on the furniture as a means of spirit repellent and warned Susan to take her employees and her daughters out. Much to Susan's confusion, she reveals that she has one daughter, Tyler. The brothers thought that Tyler had a sister named Maggie until Susan reveals that Maggie is imaginary. The brothers confirm that Maggie is the ghost that's haunted the hotel. Susan believes that Maggie was Rose's older sister, a little girl who lived at the Pierpoint Inn who tragically died by drowning in the pool. They searched for Tyler until they spotted her at the old hotel pool. Maggie pushes her and locks the doors and glass shut, trying to drown the girl until Rose telepathically called her name. Maggie disappears as the brothers successfully break in and save Tyler from getting drowned. To save her granddaughter's life, Rose offers to die and serve as Maggie's companion, so the spirit would not be alone. Maggie accepts and Rose died of another stroke. Susan takes Tyler away and gives her thanks to Sam and Dean while she hugs Sam before they drive off. The brothers leave the hotel, now resided by both the spirits of Rose and Maggie. Aww. So now let's take a look at some trivia surrounding this episode. When Dean returns to the hotel room and finds Sam drunk, he says, "Come on, time for bed. Let's go Sasquatch." Sasquatch is Jensen Ackles' nickname for Jared Padalecki in real life. Dan hopes that he and Sam can meet Fred and Daphne from Scooby-Doo. This is what will happen in Scooby Natural. And now finally, let's take a look at some errors. During Sam's hangover, when he's barfing in the toilet, if you look at his right hand, it's wearing a watch in out of the cast. But if you look back later, it's still in the cast. Looking carefully, you can see that the picture is mirrored. The cast can be seen in what appears to be his left hand. Also during this scene, Dean is standing opposite sides of the doorway, depending on the shot. So I think this episode is just kind of okay, but I do like the fact that they do mention what happened to Ava Wilson last episode, so yeah. So overall, I give Playthings 3 Impalas out of 5. When I'm tuned in bed, wait till the final episode of the day, Night Shifter. So, until then, carry on, my wayward sons and daughters.